Let's see if we can keep that going as the revs come up and the gate drops. Ferrandis leading them into the first turn. Looks like the 74 Mitchell Harrison going to edge him out. Harrison will get that motorsport.com whole shot award. Shane McElrath in the fight as well as they go uphill.
How good is McElrath just getting to the front in these beginning parts of the races? And then for Ferrandis, what a turnaround mid-season. He was never near the front at the start and just consistently now up near the front.
Well, he said they've made some bike changes that he thinks will make the bike worse everywhere else, but better off the start. And he's willing to make that sacrifice because, yeah, that has been a major Achilles heel for him to start the last couple of seasons. But McElrath looking good right now out front.
Yeah, McElrath is sort of got that ability to come out of the blocks, come out of the gate, and be really strong immediately. One thing I've also noticed, when Ferrandis is on the back foot coming from behind, that's when he's at his best. When he gets these good starts, it takes him a few laps to warm up, but he's doing it methodically. He's smart. He knows he's got the speed, and he's in a perfect position right now. Yeah,
and certainly reducing the risk as well. Oh, and Brandon Hartraff down early. Seen that happen to him several times this year. Had a podium early in the season, but haven't gotten him up front on the early laps really since then. So he's down in the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull KTM.
And that's at the bottom. At the bottom, what we call the end zone. Every year we see riders go. It's a tricky downhill off camber with big bumps.
Ferrandis trying an outside line past the mechanics area, already going after McElrath for the lead. Almost had it.
McElrath just slammed the door shut at the exit. So Ferrandis will have to try again, but they already have a small gap on Harrison at this point, and then looking a little further back, Jeremy Martin in 7th place. I think for J-Mart, the best thing he can do is make some quick, aggressive passes quickly and try and get to the rear of Ferrandis and let this be an all-out dogfight.
Harrison Cooper, Hampshire, Hunter Lawrence, Jeremy Martin 7th. Josh Varize, a good start for one of the young kids out here. Ace Shimoda and Schwartz, that rookie we were talking about on the Bar X Suzuki, rounds out the top 10 of lap 1. Hook back onto the start stretch. It's Yamaha versus Yamaha. It could be Yamaha 1, 2, 3 soon because Justin Cooper's coming on strong.
Cooper putting the pressure on Mitchell Harrison. Harrison's been also pretty consistent this season. Good start. Has had good pace, but just not quite enough to run with that lead pack all the way to the end. We're at altitude, different type of track. Kind of has a little bit of a GP look to it at times, and we know he spent a couple seasons doing GPs.
Yep, raced it over in Europe, the Michigan native for a few years, then came back here to get a fill-in ride with Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Oh, Ferrandis
hit that square edge. See, couldn't get over that jump. I wonder if it cost him a bunch of time. We see it did. A few
Cooper made the move, by the way. Cooper goes into 3rd. So yeah, Ferrandis going to have to make some distance back up,
which he's very capable of doing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he came out of that corner, and I don't want to say he was lazy, but just a little slow in getting back his weight back and out of the seat. But I think it caught him off guard. He didn't expect that square edge to be maybe quite that square, but it really threw his weight forward, robbed him a lot of speed, and couldn't get over that. It's actually a triple. It's got a small roller in between, so they had to abort and do that.
Tightening up a bit, actually, because you can see even the 5th place rider, Hampshire, right there on the Rockstar Husqvarna at the bottom. So this top 5 beginning to tighten, and Ferrandis has immediately caught back up to McElrath.
Oh, he's so good through that section, that long downhill off camber. He just gains quite a bit of time there, so made all that time up, and well, he lost it in one section, then half a lap later, it's gone.
So Ferrandis working McElrath, no man's land, running the outside line there, found some fresh dirt. McElrath able to hold on for another lap. Here comes the uphill triple. Got it. I thought that jump would be harder for these 250s to do. It's been pretty simple for them so far. So McElrath, no problem, still in the lead.
Well, I think even though they ripped the track quite nicely, it packed in more than I think everyone was anticipating. Yeah. And we have a theory, a lot of people think because they've basically had droughts up here, that there hasn't been any moisture in the ground, so when they watered it and ripped it, it sucked it up really quickly and it made a little more hard pack.
Look at this. Justin Cooper has caught Ferrandis, and he wants the number 2 spot. Cooper to the inside. Not enough.
Almost made that work. Came in with a great amount of speed there, but then they've done a little track prep after qualifying before this first moto, and they cleaned up a few of those outsides. You see the riders taking advantage of it, but we always tend to see later in the motos, where those outsides eventually they will break through and the ruts get kind of, you know, beat up, and then the insides come back into play.
Ferrandis much better on these rollers than tripling uphill than he was a lap ago, helping him to open up about 4 or 5 bike lengths on Cooper, who has been improving as of late. Will, what have you been hearing on the 32?
I went and visited with him this morning after practice there, Jason, and I mean, full of confidence is an understatement, really. I think obviously coming off the back of that second on the overall podium there last weekend, he said things are just coming together. He's feeling his normal, and he was sitting there with his girlfriend, actually. She said to me, he called this race earlier on in the week. She said he said this is going to be the one. He likes this track. He said it's his favorite track of the entire series. He said he's always done good here. And he said more than anything, he's just starting to feel normal again. And by that, he means probably back to the form that he was there last year. They've left the settings that they did for last week, which was back to more like last year's settings. So all in all, he said comfort levels up there.
Yeah, he said also motivation's at an all-time high when he had that fast lap in qualifying today. And we're talking about a rider who has won a race in this series before, has battled for the title before. So if he gets back to that level, he's going to be a contender. And he is. He's staying with Ferrandis. And Ferrandis has caught McElrath again.
Same section. And he pulled away from Justin Cooper as well. So I got a feeling that Ferrandis will try and get himself close to his teammate. And if not before, I think the next lap in that section, Ferrandis just has something a little bit extra special through there.
Back behind the start gate we go, and another lap down. 3 of them now led by McElrath, and this is a Yamaha show. They have pulled away from Harrison, who's 4th, and everyone else. Question is, what will the order be? Each one of these 3 seems to have their strengths and weaknesses as you go around the track. They'll pull away, they'll gain, they'll pull away again.
Well, look, McElrath seems to be stronger here.
Yep.
Then sort of Cooper comes back with, you know, up onto the back of Ferrandis. So you would think that with Ferrandis being behind McElrath, that's usually an advantage on if you're losing in the same section lap after lap. You know, one of the original things I was ever told, it's not rocket science. Try and crib whatever he does. If he crosses over, right, and a mistake there from McElrath, lost his uphill drive.
Ferrandis was almost able to make the pass. In fact, he's still going to try. Not really a line to use on the outside, but he's found enough momentum and speed. Now the big downhill, and just like that, Ferrandis to the lead. Let's see if McElrath can use the inside to get him back. No.
Yeah, Ferrandis just committed down that hill. He knew being on the outside, he had to get it done. And with that, I mean, charge down the hill and just commit to that outside with a lot of speed, and he did that. McElrath just a little more tentative on that hill, and this is where Ferrandis has been really good. Another one of those downhills where the bike's moving around. He's just not afraid to just release the brakes or brake less and then triple back up there, and then he rails that outside. Now McElrath has seen that, so he's trying to do the same thing.
Well, McElrath's going to need it. We saw in the first moto last week, McElrath had a good start and went back. I think he finished 7th, was much better in Moto 2. So you never know exactly what you're going to get from the 12 when that first pass happens. Good battle back here. You've got Harrison and Hampshire just went by. Then it's Jeremy Martin ahead of the Lawrence brothers, Hunter and Jet. So this is not what Jeremy Martin. Oh, that's Hampshire.
Hampshire's down. So Jeremy's going to like that. That made things a lot easier. Hampshire's been riding strong all season. You know he's not the easiest to pass either, and he will fight for everything. Bummer for him. But for J-Mart, the only pass he's made was on his teammate Hunter Lawrence about a lap or 2 laps ago. Now he's got a little bit of clear track where he can put the heat on, catch up. Once he gets around Harrison, he can see that lead group. That'll help him a lot mentally.
Yeah, I mean, the goal at minimum is podiums, 3rds, 2nds, or 1st. Right now running in 5th with Harrison up ahead. And then, as I mentioned, it's the Lawrence brothers and then Shimoda. So it's 4 Geico Hondas in formation. Then Jarrett Fry and then Alex Martin into the top 10 just ahead of Hampshire. And Alex Martin and Hampshire, along with McElrath, are in a battle for 3rd in this championship. So those are valuable points that Hampshire just gave up with that crash. Looks like Martin making up a little bit of ground on Harrison. Then you've got the Lawrences, and the 84 is Shimoda. 83, Jet Lawrence up ahead of him. So a couple of rookies here for Geico Honda. Look at Shimoda closing up on Jet.
Yeah, Jet tried to triple up that hill. Shimoda just did the scrub, stay low, get the power to the ground, and sort of try to double and then wheelie up there. And I think that's probably a little more effective. Jet came up just a little bit short on that jump, so getting harder and harder for these guys with each and every lap.
Shimoda quietly building a pretty solid rookie season here. Has been in the top 10 more often than not the last 3 races, and had a 6th in a moto, I think, going back to Redbud, so he has definitely picked it up. Trying to follow in the wheel tracks of his fellow rookie Jet Lawrence, who has been everything but a podium runner this year. Lots of 4ths, lots of 5ths, and we're about to have some Lawrence on Lawrence action here. Jet catching his brother. I'm going to show you the track via the GoPro course preview. This is from earlier today. This is Carson Mumford, another Geico Honda rider.
See, this was when the track was developing, so most of the turns had kind of 1 or 2 good lines, not that rough, but they could look at it, these 250s, everything they've got going up this long hill to the very top part of Thunder Valley.
So Dylan Ferrandis beginning to pull away, not by a massive gap, but certainly controlling the race over McElrath. And McElrath put a pretty good gap over Cooper. You can tell, though, Ferrandis is hustling compared to where he was in the first couple laps. He's pushing it.
Yeah, that's also where he's strong, is charging down those hills. You see he's getting over that triple there quite clean, and that's huge, doing that consistently every lap. But when he comes down the hills, he carries more speed than probably anyone out there, and you will see the bike dance and move around, but it's all pretty much under control. And even if the bike steps out just a little bit, he's already prepared for something like that, and he corrects it very quickly. That's a guy with just a lot of confidence in himself and his bike underneath him.
And no changes behind that. McElrath, Cooper, Martin, Harrison, and then Hunter versus Jet Lawrence, 6th and 7th, and Shimoda, Fry, and Alex Martin still top 10. So right now, Ferrandis in complete control, aiming for his 5th moto win in a row, and at the absolute best time to do it. Oh, actually caught his leg there, and that right-hander got it gathered back together.
Well, this track is just known for that. If you don't get the corners clean and get your leg up nice and high and set up properly, it'll pull you off the back of the bike, and that's why it's so easy to make a mistake around here. So for Ferrandis, couple little
another one out of that corner.
Yeah, a couple little wake ups. That this might just make him think a little bit.
Well, all the riders are saying after practice there are some sections that are surprisingly hard packed and slippery. We'll see if it catches anyone out. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. First Motos live every Saturday right here on MAV TV. Go to mavtv.com for air times. Although, spoiler alert, we only have 1 race to go. So I'll tell you right now, it's going to be next Saturday from Fox Raceway at Pala at 1 o'clock Pacific will be our first Motos. Dylan Ferrandis is hoping that by the time we get to California next weekend, he could be putting the finishing touches on a championship run. He's doing exactly what he needs to do right now, leading this first moto over Shane McElrath in the 12, and then a 3rd Monster Pro Circuit Kawasaki. Justin Cooper comes through. That's 2nd and 3rd, sorry, and then Jeremy Martin would be 4th. And Martin has made a move on Harrison. That's the good. But the bad is, if it ended like this, Martin's going to lose more points to Ferrandis. Oh, not able to get that triple there was McElrath.
They see that cost these guys a ton of speed going up that hill if they come up short. But the other thing for Jeremy Martin that's sort of a double whammy is, yeah, he's in 4th, but he's got to get around Ferrandis' teammates who are going to make it as difficult as possible. And you know, when you see those guys getting their little personal battles, they both lose time, and that just helps Ferrandis' lead.
Good to see this out of Hunter Lawrence. A couple of rounds ago, finally started, as he said, feeling like the real Hunter Lawrence. Dislocated his shoulder at round 2 at Loretta Lynn's. Thought he was going to need surgery, and that would be the end of his season. But he's slowly but surely through rehab, built the shoulder back up. Pain is gone. Doesn't say as full strength yet. We're really starting to see that talent that everybody knows, the 20-year-old Australian has. And now we got both of the Lawrences in formation. Haven't actually seen Hunter and Jet battle very much, but we're about to have it here. They're both on Geico Hondas, and we're halfway through this moto, so I can remind you that in 15 minutes you can save 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. The guy who could use it is Mitchell Harrison, because he's about to have both of the Lawrences, both on Geico Hondas, fighting him for what would be 5th in the moto. I believe 5th would be the season best for Hunter if he can get it.
Still plenty of racing, obviously a little more than half of this moto, and then factor in the 2 laps at the end. And for some of these riders, you know, Jet, he hasn't been up here before, so
yeah, new track
it's a little of the unknown if he gets maybe breathing issues or anything like that. So under those helmets there could be some personal little battles going on with themselves, but this is a battle on track between teammates. You see Ferrandis just disappearing a little bit, but now McElrath coming under pressure from Justin Cooper, who from everything we've seen and heard decided that this was going to be a place he was going to bring his A game. And as far as the overall is concerned, we also often say, hey, second in the first moto is as good as a win. He triples that. Is that going to get him in there? He's got an opening, but
oh, he's going to use it. I did not think he had enough, and it could be, yes, Justin Cooper with that triple managed to get to the inside, takes second.
Well, that's just proof how huge it is to get that apple nice and clean lap after lap. In the 450s, with a little more power, most of the riders getting over, I wouldn't say with ease, but they're getting over it. 250s, if you don't nail everything coming out the corner, and it also shows, hey, you need horsepower, without a doubt. This is a track where everyone's crying for more power.
Yeah, everyone losing, I usually say something like 15 or 20% since we're at 5,500 feet of elevation.
But it feels a lot more than that. It really does. 15% feels like 50.
Yeah, well, you guys, you lose 1%, you're probably like, come on, give me more.
A lot of whining going on.
Yeah, that's right. So Martin has made the move on Harrison. Now Hunter Lawrence trying to get it as well. Actually, if Hunter gets to 5th, that would tie his season best. He did have a 5th in a moto at Millville 2 rounds ago. Then he was 6th in the first moto last week in Florida. Didn't finish moto 2 when the bike broke. He said on social media that they had a problem with the flux capacitor. Not sure that that's really a part. I think he just wants to do some time traveling. Wait a minute. He's got Jet Lawrence now. His brother has caught him just as quickly as he has caught Harrison. And we finally have the Lawrence brothers battling. Been a lot of friendly trash talk between the brothers the last couple of years, but now it's finally manifested itself on the racetrack.
Well, just as long as they don't do what the Martin brothers did last week.
That's right.
And tangle, I'm sure the Lawrence family will be happy, but I guess just because I've never experienced it, it's got to be kind of interesting battling your own brother on the track. You know, you love him, but I'm sure when he runs his wheel and you're a little fired up, or you know, when you're out there, your adrenaline's going wide open. So anyone that does anything in your head, it's exaggerated. Like,
yeah, incidental contact appears to be much more aggressive than it might seem on the outside. Okay, so Hunter doing everything he can to get Harrison right now as they race to the bottom of this hill. Whoa. Nice job by Hunter to leap that double and make the pass.
That was commitment there. I'm glad Mitchell Harrison saw that one coming, because that would have been, keep talking about previous events, that could have almost been, oh, and it's a Lawrence special on the uphill.
They both make the move. Jet able to get Harrison. Now Harrison going to fight back downhill.
Ooh, you see the back end step out, and then Cowie brings it back.
Whoa. Jet Lawrence able to use the outside to lock that spot down. So the battle between the brothers continues. Now it will be 5th and 6th. Harrison really was fighting for it down on the inside. Jet able to take the measure of him. Yeah, if Harrison had gone over that berm, courtesy of Hunter Lawrence, he would have gone a long way.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it just keeps going.
That almost reminded me of the at Redbud when Barsha came in on Marvin, and Marvin didn't see it.
Okay, so we'll reset this. Jeremy Martin is kind of all alone right now in 4th. There's these 3, Hunter, Jet, and Mitchell Harrison. And then Shimoda's 8th, Alex Martin up to 9th, and he is battling Hampshire. And that could be a critical battle there again for the battle for 3rd in this championship. To the motorsport.com whole shot replay. Grant, what did you see here?
Well, if you look, the whole shot comes from middle of the inside there. You see Harrison on the Kawasaki, him and Ferrandis. They were about somewhere in the range of, if you went all the way from the inside, about 9, 10, 11 gates down. So middle on the inside of the doghouse, as they call it. So, but I walked up there earlier. When you stand there, it's, if you walk exactly straight up the hill, you hit the inside marker at the first turn. On the inside, you have to go almost away from the track.
Oh, we've got a big pile up here trying to figure out who this is. Is that a Rock River Yamaha on the right pulling back onto the track?
Yeah, that bike looks bent up.
Mangled. Might have been Joey Crown. Not sure if it was 355 or not. We go back to our leader. It's definitely not him. Ferrandis still looking good up front. Justin Cooper all alone in second. He has pulled away from McElrath. The big question is, can Jeremy Martin get it up on the podium, run McElrath down? He's got to make up 8 seconds in the final third of this moto because the Yamahas got it dialed today. Dylan Ferrandis just clicking off the laps here over Justin Cooper. Cooper has definitely been on his A game today, but the way this series is starting to go the last couple of motos, being next best to Dylan Ferrandis means you're really riding well.
Well, you just saw what Ferrandis did right there. Hardly anyone's tripling up that hill, and if they are, they're having to go to the outside. He went triple on the brakes, inside rut, you know, squared the corner up on the gas, came out of the corner where it's smooth on the inside. He just puts himself on the part of the track where most people aren't. So he finds those clean lines. He jumps across lines. See how wide he comes in this corner? Really arcs that, stands late, goes around the bumps and cuts back, you know. So everything he does is with a purpose. There's a thought process, and he's just a very intelligent rider. I know we've said it over and over again about the crafty Frenchman, but he does it a little bit different to some of the other French riders, but in his own way, he's got that nice blend of talent, attack mode, confidence, and just rider awareness.
Well, he has been saying lately, especially with his riding coach, David Villeman, that a lot of the things they're working on is to make sure he's even better for next year when he's going to move to the 450 class. And obviously, you're going to need all the tricks against that crew. So that'll make things interesting to see where he slots in 2021. Right now, though, there'll be no doubt in the 250 class 2020. We're back here at the Fly Racing Western Power Sports Thunder Valley National, and we're tracking some of the drama that has taken place in this 250 class. Lawrence brothers battling each other right now. You've also got Joe Shimoda in the mix. Those are all these red Geico Hondas. And I think RJ Hampshire has made a move. Yeah, there's Hampshire. He has caught Jet Lawrence. Jet Lawrence must have made a mistake. He got passed by Harrison and Shimoda, who he was ahead of. He lost 2 spots and then got caught by someone else.
Yeah, he must have gone down because he's lost just over 10 seconds. Probably a tip over in one of those rutted corners.
So another rider who had a tip over was Hampshire on the white Rockstar Husqvarna. Got that limited edition Fly Racing gear that they put on some of the riders for this event you're the title sponsor of. He went down. He has regrouped big time. He's gotten around Alex Martin, and now he's trying to get Jet Lawrence. This would be for 8th.
RJ's just been riding with a lot of tenacity this season. So whether it's 7th or 8th, he's going to give it everything till the very end. And
that Shimoda almost went down in the entrance to that corner. And Alex Martin goes down.
Hampshire almost went down as well.
Jeez,
I've never seen that chain reaction of 3 different riders making 3 different mistakes, but in the same corner. And guess what? He's got to kick it.
Yeah, the
troll train is not happy when you got short legs and you got to kick it. He's trying to get a running start.
Oh no, this is a disaster for Alex, who was running 10th. He's lost a ton of ground. He could be back outside the top 20 before this is over. It's good balance to almost start it Had he kicked it that first time, I would have been pretty impressed with that.
Yeah.
A trials rider.
And that also takes energy out of you. You're standing still, you're breathing heavy, you're somewhat panicking a little bit. He's also got, only had that electric starter.
Yeah.
He's so much better off.
It's Mitchell Falk right behind him. That's 15th. So he went from 10th to 14th with that tip over. And is that Jared Fry there? No, actually, that's Thrasher. Nate Thrasher making his pro debut. We found him. There's two Monster Energy Star Racing Yamaha riders who have recently joined this championship. The 134 of Jared Fry and now the 488. Nate Thrasher making his pro debut. We have qualifying coverage every morning on the NBC Sports Gold app, and we were talking about Thrasher and Fry. So Fry's gone 14, 14, 12, 12 in his first 4 motos. Thrasher making his debut right now. He is in 13th. Thrasher was supposed to make his debut at Spring Creek in Minnesota, and he was supposed to be on a Troy Lee Designs Red Bull KTM, but he actually switched teams moments before his first race, a day or two in advance. Now he switched to the Yamaha, and the young rider out of Tennessee looking pretty good right now in the 48. And again, that is 14th place for him. Dylan Schwartz, another one of the rookies on the Bar X Suzuki, running 12th. McAdoo 11th. 10th is Fry. And then you see that Hampshire Lawrence Shimoda group that we were just watching about a lap ago in that apparently very difficult rutted corner. It's rutted today. We've seen this track even more rutted than this, though, through the years.
Yeah, it's evolved slightly different, and we've seen that at a few races, and the battle ensues.
This is Shimoda trying to get around Harrison. And then Lawrence, and then Hampshire. So a 4-rider pack. This is 7th, 8th, and 9th. A good chase here. Harrison just trying to hang on. He's been in a sandwich. He's been in a battle nearly this entire moto. Getting pressed big time by Shimoda.
Yeah, the racing's been so good this season. Oh, Shimoda trying to jump up the inside and take advantage of when the lapper was in Harrison's way slightly.
Old Nagaman on the 815 who they've gotten around. And somehow Harrison was able to survive all that and keep the spot. But for how long? Because Shimoda is on the move.
Yeah, Shimoda's going to want to try and get around Harrison as quickly as possible and just get away from this gaggle, because when you get caught up in these battles, a lot of times you use a lot of energy.
Whoa. Lawrence trying to get Shimoda. Shimoda gave him a look.
He's like he gave that look like, I'm so glad we were teammates. Other guys may not have.
Oh, Hampshire! Oh, that was a ragdoll.
Big tank slap.
Man, this guy has had a rough go as of late. Hurt his hip in a scary crash in Minnesota. Didn't really hurt himself that badly in a really scary crash last week. Look out.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's also in a bad spot, because from this angle we can see it, but when you come over that hump, you're a bit blind. You'll see him right before you're about to take off.
Remember a couple years ago, Aaron Plessinger went down in that section, and he had to wait for the entire field to go by before he get to his bike. Oh, man, it has come undone for Hampshire. He has taken a beating these last 3 weeks. Last week, one of the scariest crashes you will ever see. Was able to escape from that without too much injury, but this ground, this hurts. It is hard to do this section. First, we're going to watch Shimoda and Lawrence.
Yeah, but you have to watch in the background. Watch at the bottom of your screen. He gets sideways right there, and then it just comes back. And, that ground is hard. That's like getting body slammed by a linebacker. Watch this. Had a little resemblance of Marvin's practice crash from last week.
Yeah, it did.
Where the back end stepped around and then snapped back violently. And then Hampshire, he had a big one last week. We were impressed that he lined back up for Moto 2. Comes here, another crash. This was Moto 1 last week. He was in a great battle near the front, hit a kick off the jump, had to eject. We were just so glad to see him walk away. The motorcycle, however, was trashed. I mean, they had to change virtually everything on that bike. It's just been a rough 2 weeks for this guy, but what doesn't kill him makes him stronger.
Yeah, he said he hurt his ribs a little bit, but he said after that crash, he told me this morning, he was so scared, he went to Doc G, who's one of the trainers out here, and said, check everything, because he said he thought maybe he was in such shock that maybe he was hurt and just didn't realize it, but he actually ended up being okay. But another rough ride for Hampshire here. Ferrandis leading his way around. Something we've been doing all year is asking these riders who was on their personal Mount Rushmore, their 4 most influential motocrossers ever. Here's the Frenchman's take.
I think everybody have put the same name. You have to put James Stewart, Ricky Carmichael. That's the two legends that you must put. Everts and Caroli. And I think in few years we will have to put also Erlings probably.
And on that subject with Ferrandis, I had a chance to talk to him this week. He has mentioned Jeffrey Herlings a few times. Herlings has injuries and is probably going to come up short of another world title, but there are very few that would argue that he might be the fastest motocross rider in the world, and he had to battle. Ferrandis had to battle him in their days in the 250 class in Europe, and Ferrandis said he hated it then, made him sad to have to race Herlings, but a lot of the lessons learned from trying to chase him are what pays off these days.
Oh, no doubt about it. You ride with the best, it'll always help elevate your game. As Ferrandis gets the 2-lap card with a nice 7.5 second lead, which is plenty, enables him to turn it down. Maybe, you back it down just 10%. You can start actually recovering your breathing during the moto, and it helps the whole recovery process. So when you push all the way to the finish line, it takes longer to recover between motos. So Ferrandis can enjoy, take a few deep breaths up when he goes over these jumps. But yeah, get back to your Herlings. He is extremely fast, and surprised he didn't even put Caroli up there, but I think some people believe that Herlings is just straight out faster than Herlings is almost like the James Stewart of Europe. He's got the speed. When he's not injured, no one can beat him, but unfortunately he's had injuries. Probably would have a few more world titles otherwise.
So Ferrandis in control right now. Those guys all race over in the Grand Prix circuit, the World Grand Prix circuit in Europe. We're talking the American side right now for the Frenchman, who is out front in this class, in the points and in this moto. And it could be a Yamaha sweep in this moto. Passionate streetcar builders come together to compete at the most famous tracks around the country. It's Optima's search for the ultimate streetcar. Fridays at 8 Eastern and Pacific on MAV TV, Motorsports Network. And that's what you're watching right now. Some motorsports here on MAV TV. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. Stank Dog Jared Stanky going a lap down to Dylan Ferrandis, who is looking for 5 straight moto wins and to be a 7-point pickup in the series over Jeremy Martin. If it ends like this, score 25 points for a moto win, 18 points for 4th. That's where Jeremy Martin, who's 2nd in the series, sits right now. Ferrandis told me the goal, try to get it up above 25 points, so maybe it doesn't have to go to the final moto of the season. And that seemed like a long shot not that long ago, but if the white flag's out, he's got a moto streak going, and suddenly the 25-point situation starts to look like a real possibility. Could be 20 by the end of this moto.
Yeah, and then you factor in the second moto. If he's able to pad it some more, he's going to leave here with that cushion, which, I mean, as a racer, having a moto lead, I think what it does is it's mentally, it makes you feel like you have a mulligan. So if the bike breaks or you go down the first turn and a foot peg goes through the spokes of your front wheel and you can't finish, you have a mulligan. So I think for any racer, it's that comfort. But someone who might not have much comfort is McElrath. You can see by the times Jeremy Martin's getting a little bit closer. And for Jeremy Martin, he needs every point he can get at this point. So, but we saw last week what happened. It was a lot harder for Jeremy to get around McElrath. Spent most of the moto fighting it, but yellow flags waving, probably a lap down. Oh,
that's Eigenmann down, and when the red cross flags come out, that means no jumping, so that's a little more severe of a situation than the yellows. Man, hope he's okay. And half a lap to go here for Ferrandis.
Also, if riders haven't been able to be moved off the track, they'll have the wheels and the ground flag, as they call it. It's a safety thing. Nice little whip there from Ferrandis. And he's smiling under that helmet.
Man, has he ever taken control of this championship back? And a lot of it was the starts. Whatever they change on the bike, he said it's maybe not as good around the rest of the track, but it does help with the start. And you get this guy starting in the top 3, it's going to be hard to beat him. And he proved it again in this one.
Yeah, solid start. Put himself in the top 3 off the get-go. Took a few laps to suss out the track, just feel out where the traction was, figure out his lines, and then what we've seen over and over, got into his groove, had some creative lines, was carrying good speed, especially on those downhills. A lot of speed there. That's his ammo at the moment, and he's going to find himself another win and padding that points lead.
Yeah, and throw a little style over with the turn down whip. And here's the checkered flag. 5 straight moto wins for Dylan Ferrandis.